Hello everyone, this is Marie Blue Angel back once again with the demo for Touchstarved. Last time we were given a choice to follow one of the 5 love interests on the premise that we may not see the others. Well, I'm sure we'll see the others, but we won't see the others for the rest of the night. And as I mentioned in the last video, I have ranked which routes I would like to follow, and at the top is Kuras. I think he's the most intriguing. Second after him is, I think I said Leander, and then Ace, then Min, then Ver. So, surprise, surprise, I am going to choose Kuras. Well, whoever I pursue may be the last person I get to speak to tonight. I follow this man. Go to the doctor. He's going outside of the wet wick. Hot on Curtis's heels, I squeeze my way out of the bar. Of everyone I've met, he seems the most likely to help me, and the least likely to murder me on a whim. I feel like that is very true. Those make very great points. I love that the main character is pretty reasonable. I was just like, wow, he's gorgeous and he's a medical doctor. Let me follow him first. We do not have the same priorities. Main character, visual novel, Chantal, and real life Chantal. Earlier this morning, he said I could go to the clinic for help whenever I needed it. Time to see if that promise was actually worth anything. I breathe a sigh of relief once I'm free of the crowded bar. Kuras, hearing me, turns my way. Chantal, you seem upset. I take it the Amaryllis district is not to your liking. The mage who raised me sometimes made bizarre comments about the Amaryllis district, and now I think I have an inkling of what she meant. That's not why I stepped out. You are not in need of treatment after that fall, are you? Look at his little gaze right now. It's just kind of teasing. I scowl up at him, and he holds out his hands in a mollifying gesture. I apologize, Chantal. Please, continue. Oh, who's this? About time. Someone cuts right across me towards Kuras, stopping us both in the middle of the street. Maybe a patient? Even in the dim pink haze that seems to blanket everything, there's no mistaking the pressed white uniform and stiffly starched hat. Another Cenobium cleric. I hastily step back, making myself as inconspicuous as possible. Can I help you? Nervous onlookers hastily part around Kuras and the cleric. The two form an island of white in a sea teeming of color. Enough. You know why I'm here. Then I hope you find this edifying. Kuras reaches into his coat and produces 3 tiny glass vials, bound together with a thick leather cord. A silvery powder shimmers inside. He gently flicks the glass, watching the contents swirl, and extends the vials to the cleric. This is it? They look extremely unimpressed. Appearances can be deceiving. He throws me a glance and a swift smile, but I'm too surprised to respond. I really like this expression on him. It's just fun. Kuras was the first to warn me about the Cenobium. Nobody I met had anything good to say about them. And yet, here he is, openly dealing with them in the Amaryllis district? I glance between Kuras and the cleric, who seems to notice me for the very first time. Good night. They bow to Kuras, offer me an extremely perfunctory nod, and disappear into the seething crowd. Chantal, is something amiss? Why? What is the question? What was that about? I'm gonna say, what was that about? What was that about? Lower your voice. It is of little consequence. That's all you have to say? After the earful you gave me about the cenobium, you... Shh. Be calm. He holds one finger to his lips, which suddenly curl in a cat-like smile. For now, please join me on a short stroll. Okay. I have no questions. Whatever this man tells me, I will do. So the main character just needs to go and follow him. Curtis's golden eyes twinkle in the low light. He beckons me away from the main thoroughfare, down a side street filled with vendors hawking late-night snacks. What? Wait? What? Wait. I can't read. I thought those were the same words. Now, powerfully curious in spite of myself, I hurry after Kuras. Each of his long, graceful strides is easily two of mine. He's a tall man. I catch a glimpse of his gleaming white coat disappearing around the corner of the street. The moment I catch up, the delicious scents of freshly baked goods flood my nose, and my stomach gives a loud rumble. One honey pistachio cookie, please. Oh, honey pistachio sounds great. Coming right up. Without breaking his swift pace, Curtis plucks the sticky confection out of the merchant's hand and offers it to me. How did you know? I feel like we haven't eaten since breakfast, and we also just drank on an empty stomach, so not a good idea. This is a good idea, but not a good idea to have drank earlier. The heavenly smell makes my stomach rumble once more. I take a bite without hesitation. Oh, I want to try a honey pistachio cookie now. Maybe I can make some? Curtis watches me with an indulgent smile, and I notice he hasn't gotten anything for himself. What about you? Have you not eaten? You're not hungry? You need not concern yourself with me. He stops mid-sentence, his eyes darting back the way we came. He looks worried. The hairs stick up on the back of my neck. I turn just enough to peek over my shoulder, hoping I don't look too suspicious. Sure enough, it's the same cleric who waylaid us in the street, now wearing a thunderously angry expression. Oh, did he trick him? Did he trick them, the cleric? Uh-oh. Well, disappointment can be a learning experience. I love him. I love these lines. Glimmers of realization dawn over me as I stare up at him. What exactly was in those vials? Perhaps a rare and potent alchemic catalyst, or some stale fish skin. The two do resemble one another, and it can be hard to tell them apart. Is he serious? I chance another glance at the cleric, who's now trying to elbow their way between the food stalls. A few people make way, but most don't even notice their efforts. The street is far too crowded with hungry patrons. Shall we? Without even waiting for a response from me, he glides swiftly into the crowd once more. You're messing with them. You're messing with a cenobium cleric? Such impolite behavior. He just does this slight smile. This is probably my top expression from Kuras. I am astounded you would even suggest it. Kuras! I must still look incredulous because his smile softens a little. He lifts his hand as if to pat my shoulder, then stops himself. As I said, you have nothing to fear. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. He ducks into what looks like an abandoned doorway, but opens into a small covered market. The stalls here are full of more spices than I knew existed. Even taking a short breath makes me sneeze. Kurdish, Kurdish slows his pace, occasionally pausing to examine the insistent hawker's wares. I'm gonna be so sad if I've been saying this man's name wrong. Wait. He looks up from a display of livid red leaves, each as long as my forearm. You said I have nothing to fear, but everyone in Iridia seems wary of the cenobium. People fear the obvious trappings of power, wealth, force, or a hideously ostentatious tower. For my part, I find such trappings merely disappointing. The cenobium once had great potential, but they squandered it decades ago in the pursuits of trinkets, pleasure, and petty tyranny. Their narrow, prosaic interests have rendered them blind to all else that moves. I think that's the most I've ever heard Kuras say on any topic. You sound like you know them well. Kuras lets out a long, low sigh. You miss little, Chantal. Familiarity breeds contempt. Familiarity breeds contempt, and I am more familiar with the cenobium's crude methods than I would like. Now I'm getting somewhere. Something beyond vague warnings or swift deflections. I decide to press the point while I have the chance. Familiar how? Oh, are we interrupted? Once again. Kuras stops right in front of a display of pickled fruits, and I nearly run into his back. Don't mind me. Oh. Huh? He steps aside at the last moment. His arm rests gently but firm on my waist. I tense, but he's careful to avoid my bandaged hands. Our pursuer refuses to take no for an answer. Them? Again? I thought we lost them in the crowd. I crane my neck to look for the cleric, but Kuras shakes his head. This way. Where are we going? Gotta lose the cleric. The next street over seems to be home to the high-end brothels. It's full of steep stairways and shadowy passages, perfect for discreet tryst or losing a persistent tail. Pink curtains and painted facades sprawl around me like a giant colorful warren. It only takes a few more twists and turns down blind alleys and narrow walkways before I'm completely turned around. I mean, it is your first time in this area, really. Kuras, however, seems to be following some map in his own mind. He takes each turn with swift confidence, guiding me with the occasional nudge. The gaps between teetering buildings can hardly be called alleys, so narrow we have to pass through single file. I love it. Just a little further. The effortless grace with which he moves is almost infuriating. It takes every ounce of concentration I have just to avoid tripping over loose tiles, discarded clothes, and unidentifiable rubbish. Meanwhile, his long legs almost seem to float over every obstacle. His clothes are still completely pristine despite the soot-stained walls on either side. Okay, so he's graceful. How the hell does he do it? Some sort of enchantment woven into his jacket? A glamour spell? I'm still trying to puzzle it out when I realize how warm it is, with me practically tripping on his heels. The tiny gap between us seems to radiate heat, like beating midday sun, like beating midday sun on the longest day of summer. I feel like we'll get lost. I don't have a other motivation to stay close to this man. I definitely don't want to get lost here. I stay as close to Kuras as I can without actually touching him. I promise I will not lose you. Mm-hmm. Was I that obvious? Our eyes meet, and despite my best efforts, I find it hard to hold his gaze. Understandably. Look at those beautiful eyes. I've never seen eyes like his. Despite our dark and dingy surroundings, it's like Kuras radiates his own light whenever he looks at me. Thank you for indulging me, Chantal. I believe we have lost our tale. It's much quieter on the edges of the Amaryllis district, and the deals in the shadows look shadier. Did you enjoy your impromptu tour? Relief escapes me in a tired laugh. After the day I've had, playing keep away from a Cenobium cleric seems almost normal. I wasn't in mortal peril, so that's a nice change of pace. He laughs too. A soft and pleasant chuckle, completely at odds with his usual cool demeanor. Are you sure we've lost that cleric? If there's one thing you can count on, it is the elitism of the Cenobium's finest. They will not deign to follow us this far. He sounds confident enough. I was starting to wonder if we'd have to make a full circuit of the city to ditch them. A beam of moonlight cuts through the clouds, casting his face into sharp relief. However, I should escort you back to your lodgings. It would be unwise to let you go alone. What about you? Are you staying at the Wet Wick? Of course not. Then you're going back to your clinic alone? You just said that was a bad idea. He pauses, stares at me, then his expression relaxes into a gentle smile. Yes, the main character is worried about you, sir. Fear not, Chantal. Only the most desperate or foolish would dare lay a hand on me. He has tricks up his sleeve, I am sure. It sounds insane after two near-death soulless encounters, but part of me believes him. The few people who are still out huddled beneath street lamps and in doorways, desperate to be as close to safety as possible. Kuras, on the other hand, looks more relaxed than I've ever seen him. He's strolling down the middle of the street, bold as if it were broad daylight. Even walking alongside him makes me feel more secure, warmer both inside and out. I hang on to the faint spark of hope and screw up my courage. Did you mean it this morning? When you said I could come back to you for help? Every word. All his earlier mirth vanishes, replaced by calm focus. I don't know what to say to that. I almost expected his offer to be a courtesy, an easy way to get me out the door. The fact that he meant it. Why do you ask? I believe I have already made my intention to help you quite clear. His eyes flick briefly to my arm, the one he miraculously reattached when he found me. I can almost imagine him counting the neat stitches. I just wanted to make certain. I'm still figuring out who's trustworthy and who's trouble. I see. Aridia does tend to attract extreme individuals. Including you? He just looks like he's up to no good with that expression. Ah, Chantal. I decline to incriminate myself in your eyes. I can recognize a smooth deflection when I hear one, of course. Though if he won't talk more about himself, maybe he'll tell me about someone else. I decide to ask about... who should I? Well, I feel like I want to know more either about Min or Leander. I want to maybe ask about Leander, since Kuras recommended Leander earlier. Why'd you send me to Leander for help? Few know Aridia better than Leander. The company he keeps can be questionable, but I had confidence in him. Yeah, his bloodhounds seem rough around the edges. Leander has always preferred the company of those like him. Survivors of Lowtown's harsh realities, you must have noticed how they flocked to him. I nod. He seemed to know every single person in the Wet Wick. And that's a good thing? Leander's closest peers trust him with their lives. I would say that counts for something. Okay, also Min. I don't know if Kuras would want to talk about Vare. I don't think so. And Ace, I'm not entirely sure. But I'm gonna ask about Min. You and Min sounded like you knew each other well. Kuras heaves a long, suffering sigh. I know them better than most, and less well than I would like. Like you, Min is a recent arrival. Their time here has been particularly difficult. As much as I would like to help. He trails off, but I know exactly what he's talking about. Ah, Min didn't seem like the type, a person who would accept help easily. Do they always pick fights that are twice their size? I have implored them not to, but they rarely listen. I'm gonna ask about Ace. You know what? Do Ace. Have you ever been out to see Ace at the Sea Spring? Once. Cut off earlier. But yeah, just reading the dialogue. We're talking about Ace. Only once. Seems like a spring with miraculous powers would interest a doctor. A long silence follows, so long that I'm not sure Kuras heard me. I'm about to repeat myself when he finally speaks in a near whisper. Ace is the rare newcomer who has spoken himself immediately worthy of respect. The Sea Spring is another matter. Hidden depths often contain unwelcome secrets. You could say that about anything around here. A fair point. Nonetheless, I have seen many purported wonders, and the Sea Spring is unlike any other. Only time will tell what that means. I'm gonna ask about Vare, but he might not like me. How do you know Vare? Oh. I just wanted to ask. Kuras visibly stiffens, and I remember the venom in Vare's voice when he grabbed me. That fucking doctor. It looks like the feeling is very much mutual. Well, it's good to know, anyways. Regrettably, Vare is one of my worst patients. How did you cross his path? He stole my room key. You are fortunate that he did nothing else. He is far deadlier than he seems. There is a reason he's not at liberty, a reason for the collar and chain. He seemed pretty dodgy to me already. I hesitate, waiting for Kuras to elaborate, but he seems to find even the thought of Vare distasteful. With my curiosity sated for now, I fall silent. I wish Kuras had given me just a little more to go on, but he seems almost as tight-lipped about others as he is about himself. I mean, he gave us a lot of information, I feel. By the time we're back at the Wet Wick, the Amaryllis district seems even noisier and more ruckus than before? Raucous? Drunken patrons overflow into the streets which reek of spilt wine. How am I supposed to sleep with all this racket? I suggest the stiffest drink at the bar. Alternatively, a ball of wax. Very funny. Even with how tired I am, I'm not sure I'll get a wink of sleep. I'm about to say goodnight to Kuras when someone staggers out of the wet wick and right into me. I stumble back, heels teetering on the edge of the filthy gutter. Chantal? The next thing I know, a pair of warm arms catch me around the waist. I find myself staring up at Kuras, pressed against his chest. His grasp loosens, but he doesn't quite let me go. Yes! You guys, obviously, it's the I get pushed into one of the love interests, they have to hold me, creates some tension. Something shifts in his gaze. His eyes fix on my face, and I feel myself growing hot all over his intense scrutiny. What does he see in me? What's he looking for? Kuras? My apologies. Even after he moves away, the warmth of his touch lingers through my clothes. I quickly tug my cloak straight, trying to recollect my scattered thoughts. Good night. Oh, I thought it was him. Good night. Thanks for everything today. You are most welcome. Good night. He turns and slips into the crowd, though I can pick out his pristine white coat with ease. A chilly gust howls down the street. When did it get so cold out? I gotta choose? I mean, I'm gonna, as I've said, this is where I get to, we're saving. Surprise, surprise, I'm gonna choose Kuras. Kuras. Yeah. Kuras, the repentant angel. From all appearances, Kuras is a principal doctor of extraordinary skill, but you know little about the man beneath the professional mask. And Kuras keeps even his friends at a cool distance. Oh. Did I do something? I accidentally trackpad my way back earlier. My bad. Okay. If you uncover his deepest secrets, will you like what you find? Yeah, I'm gonna confirm. That's the end. Oh my goodness. Great. I probably will continue this so I can see all 5 of their demo ends. But yes, thank you to Red Spring Studio for such a wonderful demo. I'm really looking forward to when this game is fully released. I think the expected release is end of 2025, so a good 2+ years away. But that is okay, because in the meantime, we have a demo, we have art, and yeah. So I'm going to sign off now. I think this video is slightly shorter than the others I have, but I will be going through the other routes, as I would like to know what is happening with everyone else. Alright. Have a good day, everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!